Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's podcast. Today, I want to do something a little bit different. But before we get started, I want to thank you for watching or listening, whether you're looking at YouTube, on my website, or either you're listening to this on iTunes. I actually was thinking this weekend about what is it that really makes people successful in business. And as you know, if you've been following these videos or podcasts, I try and talk about a lot of specifics on how to do things better with Amazon. And that's good and that's fine. But today I want to do something a little bit different. I want to take that twist, that turn, throw you the curveball, if you will, because success is not always how to. I think a tremendous amount of success is what's between our ears, the mindset, if you will. I think it's about the decisions that we make. And I think back to overall my 25-year plus business career, and I've made some bad decisions, certainly, but I've also made a handful of good decisions that were seminal decisions within the course of my business. They were the major decisions on what I should do or what I shouldn't do. And sometimes it's not always what you should do. Sometimes it's what you shouldn't. And I think one of the decisions that I made, I think back when I just started, I was in my mid-20s, green behind the ears as you could be. And really, I had maybe some of the skills to do a business, but I didn't have a lot of the knowledge. My first business, I was actually part of a franchise. And this was the first franchise conference that I was able to attend. I really didn't have the money to go. I was too busy to go. I didn't have the staff to do things. But to make a long story short, I found a way to go. And I got there, and I'm sitting at this conference. And there was a speaker there who was actually the president of this particular franchise. And I thought a tremendous amount of this person. He always impressed me. He was always smart and capable, and he was somebody who he was actually, the funny thing is he was my age now, and I was looking at him as a young kid thinking he was old, and again, that's a whole nother story there going in those directions. But he was experienced, he was knowledgeable, he had been there, he had done things, and he was somebody I thought could help me. So I sought him out during one of the breaks and started chatting and asked him some questions and everything, and he listened politely. He looked me in the face, and of course there were several hundred people there, but then he nodded, he answered my questions, shook my hand, says, "Good talking to you," and he walked off and did what he needed to do. And was very polite, very happy to talk to him. And then I'm sitting here thinking, I didn't make a very good impression on him really or what, but at the end of the day, he walked up to me in the hall as we were finished the conference and everybody was walking back to the room. He stopped me and pulled me aside and chatted with me. He says, you asked some very in-depth questions, and I'm really impressed by what you asked. What would you say if I spent a little bit of time trying to help you grow your business? Well, of course, obviously, I said, yes, I'd love to have you help me do my business. So he ended up talking to me at that conference and made special time where we literally went up in his room and we just talked. We just talked about business. We talked about mindset. We talked about how to do things. He actually asked questions about my personality, about my goals. And to make a long story short, he revolutionized my business. I went from having one store to having 4 stores in the not too distant future, and grew it and ultimately learned how to run a business. I learned how not to be a micromanager. I learned how to not get by just on persistence and gall and tenacity as sometimes new people in businesses do. He taught me how to run a business, just not operate one. And all the things we hear about investing in a business, not operating one, he impressed those concepts upon me. And as I look back now, 25 plus years later, that was a seminal moment in my life. He basically allowed me to think in terms that I had never done before. He allowed me to be able to run a business that I know I would have never run a business without his knowledge, without his guidance, without his mentor, without him being a mentor. And unfortunately for him and his family, he ended up getting cancer and he died very soon thereafter, a year or so after. But in that year, he was the closest thing to a mentor I ever had in the professional world. And it was such a tremendous benefit to me. And I've sat back, and as I get to a certain age and I'm able to reflect on some of the decisions I made, not only in my Amazon business, but in all of my other businesses, I think, okay, what is it that has allowed me to have some of the successes that I've had? And I think part of it is that old adage where you'll hear the old phrase, 90% of success is showing up. Well, I've come to believe that that's true. And I sit back and I say, am I any smarter? Am I any more capable? What is it that makes me stand out sometimes when other people fall by the wayside and end up quit and giving up? And I think, well, okay, I'm certainly feel that I'm capable and confident and all of those things. However, there are plenty of people who are just as confident, just as capable, they have just as much of ability, if not more, than what I have to run a business. So why is it I'm always one of the last people standing and I always grow and and inspire. And I think, well, it's because part is you put yourself out there. I think you're willing to do things like go to conferences. You're willing to spend time and effort doing things that other people won't do. You're able to manage a business just by making good decisions. And I think really ultimately when it's all said and done and you're at the end of your business career, that's what's going to define you, is the decisions you're going to make, because some of those decisions are going to be hard. They're going to be expensive. They're going to be time consuming. They're going to be inconvenient. But people who are successful literally show up for things. And I think if I would not have shown up for that conference when I couldn't afford it, when I didn't have the time, when I probably shouldn't have gone, for that day, I was trying to build a business for the longer term, and I was investing in myself. I was investing in my business. And as I think back to, I've been fortunate to make lots of good decisions, but I think that might have been one of the very, very best decisions I made. So I really wanted I want to kind of plant the seed in your mind that showing up, doing things like that. A lot of my coaching students, I tell things, you do things sometimes for just discovery. You don't know what's going to happen. Within my Head Start community, which is my course, I put people together for things. I will post things sometimes just to have somebody to have them think creatively. For literally the word I use is for discovery. I'll put people together in groups and let them talk, because you never know what's going to come out of that. And I think as you run your business, it's not always, well, how do I do better PPC? How do I pick a better product? How do I do these types of things? And those things are obviously important. But sometimes I think you need to spend some of your time and effort showing up literally for discovery. So with that said, I hope that gives you a little bit of food for thought and a way to differently approach your business, because maybe that's an esoteric concept to some of you. I don't know. I hope not. But I think that's important to be able to approach your business in that way. With that said, I realize too that within our Amazon industry, there's really very little places where somebody can go and show up. It either has to be a course, it has to be a community, it has to be something that people can interact and they can communicate. I'm one who I find it hard sometimes to sit behind a computer screen all day. So what I've decided to do is I've actually created an Amazon conference, and it's going to be a live conference, and it's going to be in Florida, and I want to invite all of you to attend. And this is one of those things where I'm hoping you're taking to mind that the thought of showing up is 90% of success, because I certainly want to invite all of you to come. And actually what this conference is going to be, it's going to be called Amicon, which is short for Amazon Conference. So I have assembled some of the very, very best speakers in the industry. You can go to Amicon Live, AMACONLIVE.com, AmiconLive.com, and see all the details. But it's going to be a conference where we're actually going to do a coaching day, a workshop, where we're going to talk about each person's business. That's one way to attend. And then we have another way to attend for people who can go just to the conference itself. But you'll see all the details on the page. But I've assembled some of the very, very best speakers in the industry, people who are going to help you with your marketing, people who are going to help you and show you how to expand internationally. So if you're a U.S. seller and you want to sell throughout all the different Amazons in Europe, we're going to lay that out step by step. We're going to talk about some of the complexities of finding products. We're going to talk about how to market those through some of the external marketing. Basically, everything that you need to do is going to be there. And plus, in reality, you never know who you're going to meet. Maybe you'll meet the person like I met down the road who will be able to inspire you and help you in your business. But the good news is we're going to do this in Disney World. We are going to be at the Hilton Hotel, which is right across the street from downtown Disney in Orlando, Florida. It is literally 100 steps to downtown Disney. It's right across the street. So this is an opportunity to go do a little bit of work, learn some things, maybe take your family to Disney World before or afterwards later. But regardless, this is going to be a conference that everything is geared towards how to be a better Amazon seller and how to get more sales. So again, the web address for that is AmiconLive.com. I hope you go check that out, and I hope to really see you there. So in the meantime, again, as always, thanks for listening to the podcast here or watching, however you're consuming this information. I appreciate you very much. I look forward to seeing you next time.